I'm Bill.
And I'm Candace, and we're the Disruptors.
So you had to bring your attorney to the show today. Is there a reason for this, Candace?
Well, yeah, because he's honest and phenomenal. What, are you new?
You ask me that question every show, and yes, I am new.
No, I haven't asked you that for a long time.
I thought this had to do with driving over your rooster or something in the yard or something.
Well, that's because you're always in your wheelchair.
No, I'm not always in my wheelchair. Anyway, let's get to the show, if you don't mind.
Well, we have the privilege and the honor, and I do stress honor.
Did you do that in a courtroom? Your Honor?
Haha, aren't you funny today?
Go ahead. Continue, please.
I don't know. Have you been drinking?
No, not yet.
This is all natural.
Your coffee.
Well, my coffee I know is not spiked.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so what we have today in our studio is an incredible individual. His name is Brent Williams-Ruth, and he's with BR Consulting. Welcome to the show. BWR, sorry.
Oh, wonderful.
BWR.
We changed the company name since we started the podcast. Now,
well, I did, because I am blind in one eye.
You can't see out of the other one, but go ahead.
That's because Bill keeps punching me.
Good morning to you both. How are you today?
We're great.
We're fine.
He's
great, see, so we're in great shape. I'm not going to say too much because we have the attorney in the house, so I'm going to be quiet. And
right, this is all on the record.
This is on the
recorded.
Record.
That can be used against you in a court of law.
That's right.
Indeed.
That's exactly right. And I did put in a disclaimer, so I'm sunk.
Yes, well, I am Brent Williams-Ruth with BWR Consulting, PLLC. It is my own firm that I started back in July of 2015 after having been a licensed attorney for almost 15 years then. And my focus is providing concierge legal services in the world of estate planning, and then also using my prior experience in business to work and help other small and medium-sized businesses with their basic business legal needs, especially around contracting and negotiations and employment matters. So I'll tell you though, the passion really has been about service to my clients. My prior experience being a litigator, all of my bosses and firms that I worked for stressed the importance of being an added value, and that being an attorney is truly a service industry. And so with that, I've taken that to heart and made that the core of my business. And here I am.
So. You know, Brett, what was your aha moment? Because there's usually either a story that's wrapped around, or you realized, oh my gosh, I am that answer because this is being done wrong.
You know, and I think what it was and why I got into the estate planning is that I come from a medical family. My parents worked in Pierce County in the local hospitals. My mom at Mary Bridge and my dad at TG. And
awesome.
That's
and there was a period of time when I was a preteen and early teenager that my mom was doing pediatric hospice care, and I saw right. It was really tough.
That's tough.
And for those who don't know, pediatric hospice care is providing end-of-life services for kids. And so back in the 80s, it was a lot of leukemia where they hadn't made the advances they were at now. And so kids that would get that diagnosis didn't have a huge survivability rate. And what I saw and how my mom acted was how you can provide the care of an extremely gut-wrenching and horrible situation for a family, but still do it with compassion and kindness, while also having to be the person that would come in and poke your kid with a needle.
Sure.
And I realized back in 2015, as I was looking for where I wanted to spend the rest of my life as an attorney, that having that medical background of being raised by my parents and seeing what services needed to occur around estate planning, that really just was the aha that I know how to have a conversation with new parents with toddlers and infants, saying it's important to have a guardian written down, so that way your family doesn't have to fight over who would take your kids if both parents were to pass away. But also the importance of having a power of attorney, because the stories I've heard where documents aren't in place and then hospitals or banks or other entities aren't able to help someone because the fact that the law doesn't allow for just anybody to walk into your bank and say, hey, can I pull out $10,000 from Bill's bank account?
Oh, that I'd like to see.
So would the banker.
Yeah, banker would really like to see that.
So that really was the aha moment, and my clients become part of my family. One of the things that I do that's different than most is that when I've created the estate plan and we've signed the documents and everything is finalized, I don't end the relationship there. I tell my clients that I'm their attorney until they tell me to go away, and that I reach out to them affirmatively at least once a year to ask them if there's any updates that need to be made. Is their plan that they put in place still current? Are the people they've identified still the ones that they want to do whatever the role was? And if not, that I provide that update for free because they've already paid for my service. The fact of the matter is, legal documents today, even once they've been executed, it's just a Word document. And it's super easy to go in and change someone's name. If someone that you picked to be your power of attorney has now moved away and they're in Coral Gables, Florida, they're probably not the person that you would be able to come to your local bank and help you out if the situation arises. So you need to put a new person in. And again, once that's done, you send me the email, I update the information, we get a chance to get together, have a cup of coffee, execute the documents again, and for me, it's just part of the service.
I love the fact that you care.
Well, I love the fact that he goes to the client's house.
I do too. But
That's
there's customer service. We were just talking about
Yes, we were. We were
customer
batting
service.
that back around.
I mean, there's really service to the client and a huge service to our community. So thank you already for that.
And that's the other thing is that there are studies out there that talk about the percentages of Americans that don't have the basic estate planning documents in order. And when we say basic, what we're talking about is the last will and testament. In some states, a personal property memorandum that is a form that goes along with your will that will allow you to distribute tangible items such as heirlooms or mom's jewelry to whoever you want without it having to be listed in the will. Then there's two different powers of attorney. There's one that relates to your financial matters, so that gives you access to your bank, to sign for real estate dealings. The ones that are really in-depth and intensive are usually multiple pages long, 4 to 8 pages, because there's so many different areas where your signature could be necessary. For example, if you are sued and you are in a car accident and you're in a coma, your power of attorney would be able to continue that lawsuit on your behalf if the appropriate verbiage is included. The second power of attorney relates just to healthcare matters, and because of the privacy laws, they are a little shorter because they specifically relate to both federal and state privacy laws, so that way whoever you've designated will be able to go into the hospital, and if obviously you're unconscious because or incapacitated, so that way that's why this kicks into power, is that person will be able to consent for treatment, to be able to talk to your doctors and not have them say, I'm sorry, you're not related. And for those who are curious when they will ask if you're related, is that without a power of attorney, there is a statute in Washington state that establishes the order of priority as who can make decisions for someone for medicine. What's important to note, though, is that there is no such statute relating to financial matters. So, for example, if you don't have a power of attorney, your husband can go into the hospital, identify as your husband, and can make decisions on your behalf. However, if you have a bank account that's just in your name, and your husband's not on it, he can't go to the bank and say, well, I'm Candace's husband. Please let me have access. I need to get money out to pay for these bills because she's currently incapacitated. The bank manager will say, I'm really sorry, you don't have authority to get in there. So, but still, having the backup, because what if you and your husband are in a car accident together? Who would then be the next person to, maybe the next person you would want, we might say Bill, but as we look across the table.
We know it's not Bill.
we absolutely
but, maybe it's someone that's not in your family unit, that's someone that you want to be able to come and make that decision for you if both you and your husband are not available or able to make the decisions. If you haven't granted that person permission through these forms, then you're out of luck.
Well, something that I've noticed, I mean, I've roamed around planet Earth for a while, and what I've noticed is that none of us get out of here alive. So I mean, I know that's an amazing observation.
It truly
you
is.
know. And
can't
I keep
believe
wondering
you
about
figured that
Bill.
out.
Someday,
Yes, well,
someday that may change, and
Yes.
hopefully by then we'll have space travel. But you never know. But I'll just quickly say there are other documents that go with it. Are the advance directive? That is the end of life form, sometimes called a living will. Then there's 2 documents I've created that just help the families navigate after you've passed away. One I call the treasure map, also known as the summary of assets and liabilities. And then the final is the final instruction to the family. This covers all of the various things that happen after you've died. Do you want to have a memorial, a funeral? Do you want to have it at a specific church or temple, or even down to what songs you might want to have played? Because I've seen in my career already of families in very raw situations having to make decisions that are simple, and you would say, I can't believe people are fighting over what song to play at a funeral.
Oh, yeah, but they will.
But they will.
Yes.
And things that get said shortly after people have passed away are very difficult to take back and recover from. So I created that as the base package. And then what I wanted to do, go beyond, as Bill said, is I travel to people's homes, their offices. I work 7 days a week because I want to remove the barriers. This is not a fun conversation. I mean, I try and make it fun. I have a couple hypotheticals where, we talk about a scenario where your entire family dies. Mm-hmm. That's not a good topic. But if I say it happened because you overcooked the Thanksgiving turkey and it exploded,
in the house,
then it's not as horrible as to think of something that might actually happen. And but still, my goal is to remove the barriers to having the conversation. And if that means I'll come to your house on a Sunday morning at 9:00 because that's what works for you because of your work schedule or your life schedule, then that's what I do. And you joke about everyone not making it off the earth, and that's why one of the slogans I have is creating the known future for the unknown date.
I love that.
That's very good.
I love that.
Because that's what the documents would put in place that someday will be used. And when we write all this down, you will know what will happen. We just don't know when the date is going to be.
Isn't that something?
Do you think
That's
it's hard for
impressive.
couples to have that conversation? I know what my answer is because Chris and I had been just discussing, where should everything go and what does that really look like?
Yeah, and Roger outside asked me the same question.
Well, Roger's living with you, and I'll make sure that you got a month's supply of chicken
from
diapers.
him, and I'm going to refer him to Brett because he's going to need a good attorney.
But I think that that it is. I mean, I used to work with the terminally ill. This is years and years and years ago.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I still feel like I'm working with the terminally ill with you, Bill. But and what I noticed was with the families. I mean, you're absolutely right. They're highly charged emotionally. I mean, you're dealing with buttoning everything down and putting everything in words, and that's if somebody's, let's say, diagnosed with a terminal illness. So, in a sense, I almost feel like that's really a gift, only because you know that, okay, you really need to get your stuff. But so often, auto accidents or fires. I mean, look at all the fires that just happened. Look at the flooding, how much destruction. Tsunamis and everything. Those are suddenlies. And, none of us know the date. So, first of all, I love your tagline. But how would you say if one of the listeners was saying, I don't even know how to start that conversation with my significant other? How would you suggest?
Take the pillow off of their face at night. You see, now this is what I did with my wife. I took the pillow off. If we couldn't get a communication point going, the pillow went back on.
You don't even want to know about how he throws chops or pork chops at her.
No, so we can discuss that after the show.
I look forward to that. That's fascinating. But no, that's a really good question. Is it just takes someone to be the one that says, how do I start? We really have no official starting point. It is the conversation, and it depends on everyone's life situation. For example, my parents, they got their first will